All right, let's discuss the latest decommitments, commitments, and just kind of what's going on, and then broaden it out a little bit with what's happening. I saw Hayes Fawcett put out a post, and I was like, "Oh, looky here! It's not that often that you get a late decommitment from a defensive lineman that's a really good player." Well, that's something that's going on right now. Emmanuel Ruffin, big defensive lineman, 300-pounder out of the state of Alabama, decommitted. He's no longer with the Buffaloes. LSU, Ohio State, Missouri, Florida, Alabama, and Auburn are on the board. This is a kid that everybody would like to have. You can't find enough 300-pound guys that can move. He's on the board. Right now, Ohio State and Missouri, I'm not sure which one is ahead, but those are the top two guys or top two schools on his list. Don't be surprised if some more schools really make a run at him. Again, defensive tackles are in very short supply. It's just a fact. That's not going to change. And quite frankly, college football, if you look at the teams that win, most of them have a defensive tackle that's going to get drafted. When I mean win, I'm talking about make a run in the playoff. This is the kind of guy that has the frame that could end up being one of those players. Speaking of decommitments, I also cover Locked On Seminoles. The Noles lost a very good player yesterday. Tadarius Hughes has flipped his commitment from Florida State. He's from Miami Northwestern, one of the tradition-rich programs in the Sunshine State, to the Syracuse Orange. Right now, I don't know what it is with the magic elixir that Fran Brown has, but my goodness, has he done wonders down there in the Bayou or down there in South Florida and just getting good players. He's gotten multiple guys out of South Florida the last couple of years. This year, he's got 3 kids just from the Miami Public League that are really good off the top of my head. More are possible, including Calvin Russell. Besides, Tadarius Hughes is a really talented safety, 6'3" kid that can run. I've seen him play live. They've got some good players. But this hurts Florida State. It's a brand thing. Florida State's trying to stay above water. They're a 500 team right now. That one stings a little bit. Not a lot else on the decommitment front, but we do have a few commitments that I want to talk about before we wrap up the show. And let's get these going here real quick. Franklin Whitley, talked about him a little bit. He committed yesterday. I need to check out his film. I don't know a ton about him, but I love the frame. 6'6", 265 out of Greenville High School, Greenville, South Carolina. He decided to pick the Noles over Clemson and a whole bunch of other offers. Defensive linemen with that kind of frame, they are absolutely in demand. Aiden Martin out of Berry Hill High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's committed to Oklahoma State despite them not having a head coach right now. That's pretty wild. Offensive tackle, 6'5", 275. We got Marcellus Jackson out of Itawamba Community College in Fulton, Mississippi. He's a wide receiver. Slot, 5'8", 160 pounds. He's going to Kennesaw State. Houston picks up the commitment of James Henderson III. He's a corner out of Cy Falls High School just outside of Houston, 6', 170 pounds. And Kason Hutchins out of Northwest Mississippi Community College. He's a wide receiver, 6'2", 170. He's going to play for Rich Rod at West Virginia. Now, what's next? I talked a moment ago about coaches getting fired and a whole lot of guys, quite honestly, just kind of being up in the air. Today, we are literally 4 weeks away to the day from National Signing Day. Watch the recruitment lists, either unofficial or official. Doesn't even matter at this point. With all the coaching changes, the rumblings behind closed doors, these kids hear about stuff from their trainers, their 7-on-7 coaches, their high school coaches, and just talking to each other, recruit to recruit across the country. Cell phones make it easy. You're going to see some flips that some people didn't see coming, that I didn't even see coming. Who they're going to be. There's one way to get an idea of it, and again, it's the visits. Follow the visits. There won't be any school that doesn't have somebody at least looking around. Doesn't mean they'll actually take them. School like Ohio State, school like Notre Dame, there's very few that'll leave those programs, although Aaron Thomas just left Ohio State, so I shouldn't say that. He decommitted about 48 hours ago. Pretty good offensive tackle out of Arizona. There are going to be very few that don't see somebody at least consider it. It's a different era with NIL, so don't be shocked. Follow the visits. We'll see what happens. I'll probably do a little update on that on Friday. Got to wait till later in the week when the lists get released and the rumblings become more official. But come Friday, we're going to hear about somebody we don't even think is on the radar from flipping. Not even a possibility. And it's going to happen. Recruiting / silly season is in full swing in November. So let's talk about the schools that are at least still, you would think, an option for something to happen, and some rumors I've heard here lately just across the board. We're just no particular order here, no bias. These are just top of my head, but this is what I've been told and things that matter. Kentucky, Stoops, his buyout is insane. It is a large chunk of money up front kind of deal. Highly doubt it's going to happen. It's like 30 million, but most of it I think is within like 3 months or all of it. Yeah, they're trying to win a basketball. Do I think they're going to fire him? No. Plus, they just wanted Auburn. They played pretty crappy on offense, scored 10 points. Do I think they're going to fire him? No. Wisconsin. I keep hearing that they're not going to can him. They are terrible. It is what it is. I just hear they don't want to have the financial stomach for doing it. Badger fans, I feel sorry for you. That is not a good situation. Wisconsin is a former good program. They are no longer a team that is in the top third of the Big Ten. They are a bottom 3 Big Ten program. It should not be that way. They have to dump more money into it. And when I say more money, I mean way more money into it to be competitive. NIL and facilities, not one or the other, both. Until then, that program's probably going to struggle. South Carolina is an interesting one. 2 parts. Number one, they haven't met expectations this year. And number 2, Beamer. He is a grad and the son of Virginia Tech legend Frank Beamer. That job's still open, but we're hearing that Franklin is going to get that gig, the former Penn State coach, James Franklin. What happens if he takes it? What would happen with Beamer? Like if they totally bottom out, like if they get beat by Clemson bad at the end of the year, would they do something? I don't know. Sometimes I think it's kind of odd because Beamer, I mean, he's a good football coach, but South Carolina's never been a great program. It just never has. But their fan base is crazy. Would they possibly move on him? Let's see. Tennessee. I've actually heard a few rumblings there. Now, they haven't beat anybody big this year, although they probably should have beat Georgia. But after what happened in the offseason, Tennessee fans need to chill a little bit. Plus, they lost both their corners early in the year, etc. They just had a really bad go of it. They've done pretty decent, all things considered. I know the Oklahoma game is disappointing. Y'all weren't going to be a national title contender this year. And who would you hire if you got rid of it? For those of you, and I know it's not a big portion, who would you hire if you got rid of anybody on the staff? Coordinator, head coach, all of it. This is not exactly the greatest cycle to jump in the fray. Auburn's in the mix, Penn State's in the mix, LSU's in the mix, Florida's in the mix. At worst, you would have a reduced assistant coaching pool because there's so much competition. At worst, you'd end up with a worse head coach than you have now. That never goes very far in terms of victories. Tennessee's a great job. Ironically, it's my favorite stadium in college football. But be careful. Be careful for what you ask. I think that that's a good job, and they still have some chances to finish out this season strong. But until Faison Brandon is on campus and in at least year 2, whatever you get is whatever you get. This year and next year, you're probably an 8-4, 9-3 team. It is what it is. Let's continue and move a little bit west. Dave Aranda, is he ever going to get fired at Baylor, or is he always just in the hot seat because they're up and down? Keep in mind, they've got an NFL quarterback right now. Is Baylor going to come open this year, or are they going to wait till next season when they don't have an NFL quarterback and they just completely go splat to can him? That's one I'm not sure about. I could see it going that direction, but who knows? Very difficult to tell. Then when you want to go out even further west, just to bring it up, I haven't heard anything recently on UCLA. That's a really interesting job. Obviously, they fired their coach after just a few games and then turned around and beat Penn State. That was wild. But does anybody really want that job? Because speaking of not doing much with the facilities, like I talked about with Wisconsin recently, good grief. UCLA doesn't want to spend money on coaching. They don't want to spend money on facilities. They just want to be cheap. It's probably the worst major college football program as it relates to expectations and ability, because what's local to them recruiting-wise is insane, yet they're terrible. That's on the UCLA administration. That's on the state of California. There's no shortcut. You can't just spend. You have to overspend just to be good, not great. They are awful. and they don't give themselves a chance, and that ends up hurting the athletic department as a whole. Because if you win at football and fill the Rose Bowl, that money comes back in, and then you can invest it in whatever you want. Very, very poor business plan by UCLA. Finally, just overall, there's going to be a job somewhere that opens that I'm not even talking about. That's the nature of college football. There's going to be somebody that lays an egg or does something that really ticks off the boosters. And where do I get that at? Look at it this way. James Franklin was in the top 2 in the college football polls. 2 weeks later, he was fired. How crazy is that? There's going to be somebody we're not talking about. Who knows who it is? Anything is possible. College football, man, it is really crazy. Anything is possible week to week. And it just makes you wonder sometimes. With that, let's check out the chat, see what everybody's got going on here. Let's see here. The history expert. Notre Dame absolutely should be ranked in the top 12. I look at the same teams around Notre Dame, and I would take Notre Dame on a neutral site over almost every team. I think that's part of it. It's like, what's the subjectivity of it? I grew up watching Notre Dame fan, the whole nine. But looking at it logistically, you lost your 2 big games early. You should have definitely beat A&M. And then afterwards, I mean, you beat USC and did it decisively, but you still should have beat them worse. They always leave points on the board, and they haven't beat anybody else that's that great. Neutral field, theoretical, all that, totally get it. But Notre Dame hasn't played a complete game yet this year. Closest they did was the Arkansas game, but they gave up like 150 yards rushing. That's one of their worst rushing defensive games of the year. So I have no problem where Notre Dame's at. I probably would have ranked them 1 or 2 spots lower, similar, but at the same time, I get it. The one I'm still more iffy about is Miami. It should have been a little higher because they beat Notre Dame. But again, this is my shot at the committee, not Notre Dame, not Miami. They rank teams too much based on just how many losses you have. That's the dumbest criteria. Every schedule is different. Would BYU be undefeated with Notre Dame's schedule, with Miami's schedule? No. Would they beat Notre Dame or Miami on a neutral field? I don't think they'd beat either one of them. You give me a motivated Miami team or Notre Dame team against BYU, you could play it at BYU. I would take Miami or Notre Dame in either one of those. That is 100% my concern. Charles Faust, BYU will fall out of the top 15 if they lose to Tech this weekend. It will all work itself out in the coming weeks as long as Notre Dame takes care of business. Irish may host if things fall right. I would say there's a really good chance. I don't think BYU, I agree with you. That's one, and there will be at least one more that they go ahead of. I don't think Notre Dame will lose. I think they'll get Pittsburgh problems because I don't think Pittsburgh will be able to run the ball on them. They might throw it around a little bit, but they'll have a couple interceptions. Notre Dame will win 10, 14 points, and that'll be their closest game remaining. I think they will annihilate Navy. Those are saying, oh, Navy's not going to give Notre Dame problems. They play Navy every year. They practice for them every single week, and Notre Dame is way faster than them. They're not going to hit outside running plays. Navy's going to get smoked by Notre Dame. That's got 41 to 17 written all over it. With that being stated, Notre Dame is kind of a fickle team. They don't always show up. Anything's possible. The history expert, I see Oregon losing again and falling out of the top 12. They got Iowa coming up on the road. For those of you that didn't see, by the way, this is funny. Phil Parker, and I don't know the exact quote, this is paraphrasing. He's the DC, great defense coordinator for a long time for the Hawks. Said something about to the effect of Oregon has some of the best players money can buy kind of thing. Like he took a shot at their NIL. I don't know why you would do that, but that probably motivates the Ducks a little bit. Charles Faust, I agree. I see Oregon losing to Iowa or SC, not the same team as last year. Their quarterback situation is weird. Dante started hot, but then he just fell off, like really, really fell off. What's up, Raymond? Coleman Smith, what up, Brian? Any recruiting news for the Irish? They're just bringing in guys for visits. I just saw something. They've got a visit coming up. Let me see if I can find it. They had somebody coming up here that's a pretty good player that's supposed to be visiting for the Navy. That I probably am going to pronounce it Sieg. He's the safety out of the state of Pennsylvania that was committed to Penn State. He's one of the guys. And then they got another kid. I can't remember who it is. It's going to be visiting, but Notre Dame is doing quite well with recruiting. There is no doubt about that. We got Johnny Warner. Notre Dame is getting the nod over Miami. Miami beat them. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I get it. Miami won that game, that counts. But it's obvious the committee counts the games in the back half of the schedule differently. That's my opinion. I don't know. Again, I think it's partially because of the TV product. They want teams that are trending up for the playoff. I understand it, but I wish they would count it a little bit differently. Raymond Horton, don't lose to unranked teams. That's true. That's true. Miami lost to SMU and they lost to Louisville. Louisville's pretty good. SMU just lost to Wake Forest, to Florida State. And by the way, I cover Florida State. They're terrible in a lot of ways, but they beat Wake Forest by 5 touchdowns. And SMU just lost to them, but they beat Miami the next week. Miami just doesn't show up for games every week. It's so wild. Go Irish Nate. Unfortunately for us, Miami will be unranked by the end of the season. Not that it will matter by then. If Miami doesn't lose one more, I'd be surprised. They got to prove it to me now, because right now I don't buy them. Let's see. They look at where they were at the time. There's some truth in that. Go Irish Nate. Agree, Ray. Just taking a shot at Miami. The history expert. I wasn't using it as an argument, Raymond. Let's see here. What do you think about Notre Dame's chances with Fakatu, with him possibly reclassing to 27? I know Fakatu, he's a great kid. It'll be SC or Notre Dame. Hard to say. Great kid, by the way. He's 6'7" and a half. He could end up as an offensive lineman. Let's see. All right, it looks like that's it for the chat. One last comment, just as a reminder, every day at noon Eastern, going to be talking about now the college football playoff rankings, coaching firings, recruits that committed, decommitments, transfer portal, and some speculation / looks at some of the coaching profiles. I'm digging into some guys like Summerall. John Summerall's the coach at Tulane. I think he'll end up at Auburn. That's my guess. Could be somewhere else. But I'm looking at some of that. And I'm also going to get back into it. It's just been so busy doing some quarterback profiles for the class of 2027, just playing film at the end of the live show every day. I think it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of really good players in the class of 2027 that are quarterbacks. And I'm even getting ready to go see one. I'm going to go see next week, not this week, but next week. I'm going to go see Teddy Gerard, Notre Dame's commit up in Atlanta. I don't live that far from him. Go check him out and just talk about the quarterbacks, because that's the most important position in football. LSU's got a commit already that's really good. Notre Dame's got one, and several other schools are trying to get guys. We're going to see an early run on 2027 quarterbacks. So that is something to discuss. Thank you once again for checking out the Portal Podcast. Please like and subscribe. We will see you again soon.